ambassadors, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Sadhguru. Assistant Director General for Social and Human Sciences, Ms. Gabriela Ramos. Ambassador and Permanent Representative of India to UNESCO, Mr. Vishal V. Sharma. And UNESCO Artist for Peace, Ms. Gila Clara Jesus. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for crafting a conscious planet, International Day of Yoga with Sadhguru, organized by Permanent Delegation of India to UNESCO, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, in partnership with Isha Foundation and UNESCO. My name is Harish. I am Second Secretary with Permanent Delegation of India. We will begin this special event with a performance by Project Samskriti. Envisioned by Sadhguru, Project Samskriti offers Indian classical arts, including music, dance, and Kalaripayattu, an ancient martial art form. These intricate arts have been employed for thousands of years as spiritual processes. The artists with us today have invested their lives in from the age of 7, not as a hobby, but as a way of life. Let us watch a short video about this dance.
Project Samskriti is an endeavor to nurture and impart India's classical arts. Designed by Sadhguru, it offers programs to learn powerful chants, music, Bharatnatyam and Kalaripayattu, an ancient martial art form conducted by the rigorously trained students and alumni of Isha Samskriti. The art forms are imparted in their most profound form as possibilities for inner growth and transformation.
Project Samskriti is not today's idea, it's been in incubation for nearly 25 years. So this is an effort not to save the art form alone, but to bring up humanity to a higher level of existence within themselves.
Namaskaram. From absolute emptiness, matter exploded with a roar. Twisting, turning, and hurtling through space to find balance as spinning planets and burning stars. In the same way, life burst into existence in every shape and every form, evolving in search of that same balance. Twisting, turning, hurtling through many lifetimes. Our colorful personas, our colorful imaginations, and our colorful expressions. If only we found resonance with that roar of creation, we would realize that we are all the same black emptiness. As part of this production, we have a song in Hindi towards the end, and I'd like to quickly translate it for those of you who may not speak the language. We say that the lightning bolt of color splashes the lightning bolt of Indra splashes color on this earth. Red, the color of sunrise and sunset. Red, the color of my blush. Blue, the color of the ocean and the sky. Blue, the color of my separation from you. Golden, the sun, and golden every sun ray. Golden every single moment with you. Green is nature, and green the lush life. Green the expression of all my joy. Darkness laughs at this play of color and says, "You fool, do you not realize that every shade is a shade of black?" Project Samskriti presents Shunya.
Namami Shamishana Nirvana Rupam Vibham Vyapakam Brahma Veda Swarupam Nijam Nirgunam Nirvikalpam Niriham Chidakasha Makasha Vasam Bhajeham Chidakasha Makasha Vasam Bhajeham
If you experience everything around you as myself, consciously obliterating the boundaries of your individuality, this is yoga. It is the science of aligning your geometry with the cosmic geometry. When somebody experiences the whole universe as a part of himself, then we say he is a yogi.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a riveting performance. Let us thank our dancers again. Moving on, it is my honor to invite Assistant Director General of UNESCO for Social and Human Sciences, Ms. Gabriela Ramos, to deliver her inaugural remarks. Excellency, please.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome to UNESCO. Welcome to International Yoga Day. Welcome, Ambassador Vishal. Thank you so much for bringing all this beauty to your house. Sadhguru ji, so nice to have you here. And of course, our dear Artist for Peace, Julia Clara Jesus. Last year, I was in India celebrating the International Yoga Day. And I could not believe my eyes because I was invited to go to practice yoga, and we all practice yoga. You're here because you do that. And then I got into this stadium with thousands and thousands of people. And I never thought that that could be surpassed by any other event. And here we are. I think it's 3 times more impressive to have you all these packed and to have the Sadhguru with us to celebrate International Yoga Day. And we welcome this because this brings us a much needed inspiration in the breathless rhythm of our working days. And this inspiration comes from these 4 words, yoga. 4 letters that have spanned 5 millennia of history of development and of cultural expression on every continent. Today, we are about to celebrate 5,000 years of yoga's history, 5,000 years. It's a real challenge to be concise about it. But that's why we are so grateful that Sadhguruji is here, because he can share with us with his wisdom. Let us focus on a fundamental question. How has yoga crossed the borders of time and place to the point of being more popular today than ever before? Perhaps because yoga 3 central tenets, the physical postures, in Sanskrit asana, the breath control, pranayama, and meditation that offers essential benefits in our times characterized by multiple crises. And it's in the House of UNESCO where we look for this inner peace to then connect with each other in a world of a very close humanity, that this is really welcome. In terms of physical and mental health, had been severely impacted and tested across the world since the pandemic and since the multiple crises that I have just mentioned. Yoga has enabled millions of people to continue their physical activity from home, and has also played a major role in the mental health of all of us, helping us to find an inner balance. And actually I have members of my teams that started doing yoga because of the COVID, and this helped them navigate through the very complex waters. That is not trivial. Even before the pandemic, nearly 1 billion people suffer from an identifiable mental disorder, 82% of them in low and middle income countries. And studies show that yoga is linked to a 25% reduction of depression symptoms. We should recommend yoga instead of going to many doctors. And this is why UNESCO, in line with its mandate, is seeking to spread the practice of yoga and all of sports, everyone, through the Fit for Life initiative and the mandate that we have on sports. And it's not the first time this month that we put yoga in the spotlight on an international day. I have mentioned how many times we have been celebrating this over the years. For UNESCO, yoga also embodies a true ethos, a philosophy of life with the Yama, universal morality, the principles of living in society, and the Niyamas, the 5 personal guidelines of EGN, contentment, discipline, introspection, and spirituality. The word yoga itself resonates deeply with UNESCO's values. In Sanskrit, it evokes the idea of interconnection and union. Union of body and mind, of self and other, union between individuals, nations, and cultures. It's for all these reasons that the United Nations decided in 2014 to celebrate yoga every 21st of June. And it's also why UNESCO member states decided to inscribe yoga in the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage in 2016, a list that brings together the skills, practices, traditions, and arts that unite humanity. Yoga has joined other traditions and practices from India that carry this same message of union between communities, a message of sharing and generosity, such as the traditions of the Vedic chanting and Sanskrit theater, or the festival of Nowruz, the Persian New Year, a tradition that India shares with 13 other countries. And we just witnessed the beauty of dancers. This just brings the humanity in just one glimpse, and it's amazing. So we celebrate yoga and its philosophy. The openness to others and it instills in us must extend beyond humanity to the living world as a whole, to rethink also our relationship with the environment and biodiversity. Because if there is a core of all this wisdom, is the consciousness of where we are, who we are, with whom we are, and what is the context that welcomes us in the world. And this is UNESCO's major mission too. It is also part of our ethical and political imperative that what will be introduced by our guest that we are honored to welcome today, as I said, Sadhguru, who is joining us. Yes, let's welcome him. Sadhguruji is not only one of the world's greatest yoga practitioners, he is also a humanist, committed in particular to the preservation of biodiversity with his initiative to save the soil of our planet, and particularly agricultural land from degradation, which, while catastrophic, is by no means inevitable. Dear Sadhguru, at UNESCO we also approach the use of land with unethical frameworks. In a few moments, we will witness his unmatched dexterity that should not only impress us, but also challenge us, because he is also challenging in terms of how do we live in this life, how do we live in this world, how do we live with ourselves. And the messages resonate not only in this hall, but in many places all around the world. Let us reflect on how too far behind humanity has fallen in preserving the living world. And it is our duty to take immediate action to protect biodiversity. And this is what this day should be about, a day of meditation, a day of reflection, a day of action, a day to prepare the actions to come, and a day we will build a better future. Thank you very much, and let's continue with this impressive day, and thanks to India.
Thank you very much, Excellency Madam ADG. Moving on, I would now like to invite Ambassador and Permanent Delegate of India to UNESCO, Mr. Vishal V. Sharma, to deliver his remarks. Sir, please.
Very respected Sadhguru, Namaskaram. Madam ADG Gabriela Ramos, Madam ADG Stefania Giannini, and also ADG Pax, who joined us for the yoga session earlier. Excellencies, colleagues, Ms. Gila Kesu, UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador, followers and fans of Sadhguru from all over the world, Namaskaram to you all. Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi formed a special ministry to promote well-being. This ministry was called Ayush, A-Y-U-S-H, that you find there. Ayush stands for, A stands for Ayurveda, Y for Yoga, U for Unani, S for Siddh, and H for Homeopathy, and more. I thank the Ministry of Ayush and its Secretary, Mr. Rajesh Kotecha, for their vision and support for this event. I thank the team at Isha Foundation. I thank the wonderful team at UNESCO for their excellent coordination. I thank Sadhguru's able associate, Mr. Shastri, for his follow-ups. I would also like to thank my wife, Pooja, who's present among us, for having suggested to invite Sadhguru to UNESCO. It seemed impossible at that time. But when I contacted Madame DG, Audrey Azoulay, and her team, she immediately gave her approval, and we got on the job with the culture sector and ADG Culture, Mr. Othone. Lastly, but most importantly, I thank my team at the Permanent Delegation of India to UNESCO for having coordinated this event in the middle of people getting transferred and offices being moved. To those who say that a posting in Paris is leisure, let me say, please get posted to UNESCO, and then you will realize the quantity of work. We have a DG and ADGs who have succeeded in getting the letter from the US to rejoin UNESCO by their non-stop working and determination. The DG and the ADGs do not rest, their teams do not rest, and the permanent delegations do not rest. With one event after another, the constant flow of information, the non-stop emails, UNESCO is all about action. And that is why it is important that we practice yoga. To recharge our batteries, reduce stress, feel each breath and experience the moment. Prime Minister Modi quoted a verse from the ancient Sanskrit text, the Bhagavad Gita, Yogaha karmasu kaushalam, translated as, yoga is skill in action. Whatever you do, do it with all your heart and soul. This is the essence of Nishkam Karma, or selfless action in yoga. Recognizing the significance of this ancient practice of yoga, the United Nations at its 69th plenary meeting on 11th of December 2014 through Resolution 69 by 131 declared 21st June as the International Day of Yoga. Let me remind you, it is the day of the summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere, which is the longest day here, and correspondingly, it is the winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere, where it is the shortest day there. This harmonic alliance between the summer and winter solstices, which give rise to the seasons, is akin to the alliance with the incoming and outgoing breath that keeps us alive. Among the great influencers of contemporary yoga, Sadhguru stands tall. He has dedicated his life to spreading the essence of yoga and inner well-being to millions. I remember an anecdote I shared with Madame ADG Ramos about the mystery of Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca. The great Aztec king Quetzalcoatl was taught by Tezcatlipoca to go inwards to find the truth, which was inner engineering. Sadhguru's efforts at promoting yoga as a tool for self-transformation have touched lives around the globe. Through his teachings, programs, and initiatives, Sadhguru has ignited a spark in the hearts of many, And this spark that Sadhguru has ignited is becoming a forest fire. It is encouraging them to become explorers of their inner self and seek a harmonious existence with the world. Sadhguru is also the initiator of Save the Soil movement, a global movement to increase the organic content of the earth so that she can keep producing nutrients for billions of her children. He is also an avid motorbike rider who has traveled 30,000 kilometers on his motorbike, which is more than 2.5 times the diameter of planet Earth. Today, when I see any yoga session, I see that the women outnumber the men. Globally, women have embraced this ancient science of yoga and its philosophy. Curiously, the one who safeguards wisdom has been depicted as feminine in ancient cultures. Whether it was Athena, the protector of the Acropolis and Athens for the ancient Greeks, or Ishtar for the ancient Arabs, or Isis for the ancient Egyptians, or Saraswati and Lakshmi for the Indians, energy or Shakti has strangely been depicted as the feminine divine. So it is to the women of the world that we look up to. The practice of yoga unites humanity and promotes harmony and peace. After a yoga session, when you sit down in quiet isolation and close your eyes, you get to hear the most mysterious of voices, for it is the voice of silence. Welcome to the amazing inner world, and from the lap of India, we bring you Sadhguru, the master of inner engineering and the benefits of yoga for everyone. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you, sir. Before we welcome Sadhguru on stage, I would like to show you a video illustrating the important work that he undertakes.
In the next half hour, you're going to meet a man who has a devoted following across India and indeed around the world. While yoga and meditation are at the core of his teachings to promote individual growth, the work of the foundation covers conservation, education and health. And you'll find him astonishingly pragmatic on a range of very modern-day problems. Let's meet Sadhguru.
For the very first time in the history of humanity, we have the necessary resource, we have the necessary capability, we have the necessary technology to address every human problem on the planet. Even 25 years ago, we couldn't have dreamt of it. But the only thing that is missing is consciousness.
Today, the spotlight is on a project called Green Hands in India.
We started a mass campaign and 6 years I spent planting trees in people's heads. That's the most difficult terrain, believe me. And now in the last 6 years, we've been transplanting it, and that's happening much more easily.
Action for Rural Rejuvenation is mainly aimed at rejuvenating the human spirit.
This is an incredible movement that is started in Tamil Nadu. We want to see that this happens to the whole country. The idea is not necessarily about developing competitive sport, but the important thing is to bring the spirit of sport and revitalizing rural societies.
ईशा आउटरीच को वर्ष 2018 के लिए राष्ट्रीय खेल प्रोत्साहन पुरस्कार से सम्मानित किया जाता है। सद्गुरु जगदीश वासुदेव, संस्थापक ईशा आउटरीच।
English and computer skills are very essential to make these children come out of the hopeless economic and social pit they are in.
Isha Foundation, a non-religious, non-profit public service organisation headquartered in southern India.
We've engineered the outside world in so many ways, but we've done nothing about this one.
If you want to know well-being,
in is the only way out. This is what I want to teach you too. That is, you can be completely intoxicated without any drug, just on life. This is a shift from wine to divine.
Adi-yogi is the source of yoga, the first yogi.
Adi-yogi will inspire many generations to take up yoga. One truly remarkable thing that Sadhguru has done is, he has made yogis out of ordinary common people.
We're tracking a mammoth movement, an incredible rally starting from Kanyakumari, reaching up to the Himalayas, with the sole purpose of rejuvenating India's rivers.
Every state is responding. This is concurrence and this is wonderful.
I'm very happy that Sadhguru has taken up this cause. It should also become a people's movement for our own survival, for the survival of our children.
We are also launching another campaign called Kaveri Calling. This 83,000 square kilometers of Kaveri Basin, we want to bring it back, at least 1/3 of it, back into some kind of green cover. The whole purpose of this movement is to first to bring this home, that when you walk up on the soil, you know it is the source of your life. Keeping it alive is the most important thing. Will you make it happen?
Sadhguru, one of the world's voices and leaders on soil conservation and land.
Extremely important. It must be a single-point agenda, incentive-based agenda. I don't want this COP15 to end as one more convention with more paper and more paper. This must end with concrete action, and action in such a way that it's implementable.
If you have to describe yourself in one word, would you consider wildlife as 2 words or 1 word?
Yes.
President Pranab Mukherjee felicitating his Sadhguru for all his spiritual contribution.
That was truly inspiring. I would now like to invite Sadhguru and the UNESCO Artist for Peace, Ms. Gila Clara Jesus, to take the stage. Sadhguru will now address all of us to share his wisdom. After that, Sadhguru and UNESCO Artists for Peace will have a short conversation. Sadhguru will then lead us in a guided meditation for some 15 minutes. This event will end with a question and answer session where audience members may ask Sadhguru and Ms. Gila Clara Casus about their work. It is our great pleasure to now welcome Sadhguru. The floor is yours.
Jananam sukadham maranam karunam milanam maduram smaranam karunam kalavashadiha sakalam karunam samayadipate akilam karunam. Namaskaram. This 9th International Day of Yoga, which is a very wise acknowledgement of a science, a practice, a culture, which is over 15 millennia old, probably the only human activity beyond things that we do for survival to last for 15,000 years. So what is yoga? My congratulations and gratitude for all the people who work in UNESCO, ma'am, and yourself, Vishal, and every one of you. What is yoga? Essentially, yoga is a profound insight into human mechanism. This many-layered complexity that we call as a human being, this evolutionary sophistication which has been achieved over millions of years, and all the possibilities of what it can be. To know, to understand the innards of how we are made, how to explore within ourselves, without belief, without philosophies, without ideologies, without authority speaking to us, how to realize the nature of our origins and the ultimate possibility of who we are. This is yoga. So this science, as things roll, time rolls, obviously picks up various cultural aspects related to the land of its origin. It's a great pride for all of us that yoga originated in India. Yoga originated in a land that was referred to as Bharat, but everybody must understand, I know some people will disagree with very strong national feelings, but yoga belongs to humanity. Because anything that we discover cannot belong to any group of people. What we invent can belong to people. What we make up can belong to a certain group of people. What we discover as a reality cannot belong to me or you. It is the right of every human being to find a way for their own fulfillment. Generally, through the ages, we've been trying to address human well-being, human struggles, and human longing to expand and become better, which is always at work. Through belief systems, through ideologies, through philosophies, by doing freaky things and crazy things, and chemicals like alcohol, drugs, some prescribed, some in the back street. But essentially, all these are efforts to find solutions for human fulfillment. That a human being not only wants to be healthy and well, a human being constantly longing to expand. When I say longing to expand, it doesn't matter who you are right now. You want to be something more, there's no question about that. If that something more happens today, in 3 days you will want to be something more. You will see, even if you become the king or queen of this planet, there's no such possibility, but I'm just saying, even if you become the queen or king of this planet, you will look at the moon, you will look at the planetary system, you look at the galaxies. If I make you the king of one galaxy, you will look at the other galaxies, because there is something within you which is longing to become limitless. Something within you which always wants to expand beyond its boundaries. But our survival instincts are always trying to draw boundaries, because survival depends on boundaries. This instinct comes to us through our evolutionary development. And we are trying to draw boundaries on one level. When we successfully draw a boundary, we feel suffocated and then we want to expand the boundary. This is the human struggle. What yoga brings into one's life is this, that it clearly, experientially defines to you which aspect of you needs boundaries, which aspect of you does not need boundaries, which aspect of you wants to be contained, which aspect of you wants to expand limitlessly, not as a philosophy, not as a teaching, not as some authority speaking, but from your own inner experience. The mechanics of this, the technologies of this is what is referred to yoga. Unfortunately, a very dumbed-down version of yoga came to the West, nothing wrong with it, it's a good beginning, that if you're doing yoga, you must look like a leftover noodle. That is being yoga. Not necessary, you don't have to twist or turn anything, but keeping everything in you flexible is an important part of expansion. If this is not flexible, you have become a concrete block. So, let's say your mind, your head becomes like a concrete block, well, it's good for headbutting, but it doesn't work for what it is supposed to be. This is like, you have your laptop, you have your phone in your hand, you can use this to crack somebody's head. Actually, phone works. Hello, yes? You can use this to smash it on somebody's head and crack their head. But that is not the purpose for which it was made. Similarly, that is not the purpose for which this was made. If we do not realize the possibilities, if we do not realize the many possibilities of what a human being can be, do you consider that a loss? Yes. Or only if you lose something, it's a loss? Most people think only if I lose what I have, it's a loss. Loss of possibility is the worst loss. Hello? Not realizing the possibility is the biggest loss, because everything has been lost without you knowing you lost it. So, this is what yoga brings to your life, not by morals, not by ethics, not by philosophies, but by inner experience. What do I mean by inner experience? The word yoga, as you already know, means union. What is the union? You know, when we launched the project Green Hands about 27 or 28 years ago, I just looked at the terrain around me and the national average for green cover was about 33%, but the state in which I was, it was only 16.5%. So I got a few people, about 4,000 to 5,000 people, and told them that we have to plant 114 million trees in the next 8 to 10 years. Then in 15 to 20 years, we will have 33% green cover. My simple barefoot calculation of the land that we have and the number of trees we need to plant. Everybody rolled their eyeballs. Sadhguru, how is 114 million trees possible? I said, see, the population of the state is 62 million. If all of us plant one tree today, take care of it for 2 years and plant one more, you got the number. The only problem with us is, all of us consume everything. When it comes to compensatory activity, we always think somebody else should do it. Of course, UN can do it. Hello? You, whether it's UN or UZ, it doesn't matter. Something you do it, not me. So, to inspire these people, I saw they don't connect with this. They don't think, what's our business with trees? What is our business with trees? I'm a computer engineer, I'm a software engineer, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a doctor, why should I plant trees? I'm a farmer, why should I plant trees like this? Then I made them sit down and started a spiritual process. We must understand spirituality does not mean looking up or looking down. Because when we say spirit, we are talking about the life within you. Hello? There is a body. Body we gathered slowly over a period of time. To gather all this, there was something more fundamental. I won't call it by any other name, I'll just call it as you. You existed before the body became this size and shape, yes or no? Hello? Before you acquired a body of this… No, I'm not complaining about the size, I'm just saying, you can talk to me, hello? When I say size, don't think I'm accusing you of something. Before your body became this size and shape, you still existed, isn't it so? When you were 8, 10 years of age, you still existed. So, you are there in this body, whatever that you is. Let's not try to define that, because then you'll get into unnecessary debates. But you do exist. That essential you, beyond what you have gathered in the form of body and what you have gathered in the form of impressions, which you call as your mind, you did exist before you know what you know today. Before you got your master's degree or PhD, you did exist. Before your body grew to this size, you did exist. So, that you we are referring to, generally, traditionally, spirit. I normally refuse to use that word because that word has been so badly corrupted and misused in so many ways. Essentially, this is what it means. Yoga gives you a clear distinction between what you have acquired and what is you. What is your body, what is the framework of your mind, and who you are. Once, if you stand here or if you sit there, if you have a clear distinction between your body, your mind and yourself, all your troubles are over. Because there are only two kinds of sufferings in human life, physical suffering, mental suffering. Do you know any other kind of suffering? Hello? Do you know any other kind of suffering? In UNESCO, I'm asking. Because Vishal was complaining. So, these are the only two things. If you create a little space between yourself and your body, between yourself and your mind, this is the end of suffering. What this means is, you come to a place where there is no fear of suffering anymore, because whatever happens with you and your life, you will not suffer. If you had this assurance, would you explore your life with much more vigor, with much more possibilities? Yes or no? You definitely would. Right now, it's the fear of suffering. What will happen to me? If this doesn't work, what will happen to me? If that works, what will happen to me? Somebody turns against me, what will happen to me? Nothing will happen. Only thing will happen is, as we sit here, time is rolling away. We are rapidly moving towards our graves because we have come with a limited amount of time. So, there are only two ingredients for you. One is time, which you have no control. You can't slow it down, you can't roll it back, there is no rewind anywhere. Do you have a watch with a rewind button? No. Okay, that's good. So, the next is the life energies that you have. You can manage this. You cannot manage time because it rolls away for all of us, it's very fair. For every one of us, it rolls at the same speed. But depending upon how intense and dynamic and exuberant you keep your energies, time plays out differently for different people. If your energies are at a certain level of exuberance, what somebody does in 10 hours, if you can do it in 1 hour, then if you live for 100 years and that person lives for 100 years, you lived for 1,000 years. In terms of a human experience, it multiplies. But at the same time, let me tell you the downside of it. Have you noticed on a certain day when you're very happy? Has it happened to you? Hello? On a certain day, you are very, very happy about whatever. On that day, 24 hours, poof, went away like that, like a moment. Another day, you're little depressed. On that day, 24 hours feels like 10,000 years. Yes or no? So time is a very relative experience. So only miserable people can have a long life. If you're joyful, 100 years, boof, it'll be gone. So this is the process of yoga where you keep your energies at a certain level of exuberance. If this life is exuberant, then everything else falls into place, your health, well-being, your ability to do things in the world, your survival process, everything. Above all, there is no fear of suffering. That is the most important thing. So, there are many ways to define and describe yoga, but essentially it's about union. When I say union, as I was telling you about this project Green Hands, when I said this many trees, they said, this is impossible. Then I made them sit down and breathe. No, they were all breathing even before, but it's not so important, so they didn't notice it. Hello? Is breath very important? But you're not noticing it, you're not doing it consciously. So when I made them breathe in a certain way and made them experience, see what you're exhaling, the trees are inhaling. What the trees are exhaling, you're inhaling. They sat like this. Now you can't stop them from planting trees. Now I raise the I raise the target to I raised the target to 2.42 billion in the Kaveri Basin. Now they're working hard to make it happen. Every year, this year they're planting about 24 million trees because this is all going into farmland where it will survive. Our survival rate is over 93% because replacements are happening immediately in case it goes away. It is not being planted on public land, it is going into private land where these trees will grow as wealth for the farmer. So, the fundamental thing is this, as you breathe, 1/2 of your lungs is hanging out there. Suppose you saw half of your lungs hanging out there, do I have to tell you, please don't cut the tree? Hello? Do you need teaching, I'm asking? No. Anything that you see as a part of myself, with that there is no conflict. This is not just about respiration. Every cell in your body, every subatomic particle in your body is constantly in communication with the entire cosmos. If you sit here and you can experience everything as yourself, the whole universe as yourself, then we say you're in yoga. Not because you twisted yourself, you're in yoga. You sit here, you have consciously obliterated the boundaries of your individuality. You're trying to do it in so many ways. If you do it in a basic physical way, this is called a sexuality. What is not you, you're trying to make it a part of yourself. Well, it looks like it works for a few moments, after that you know. If you attempt it emotionally, this is called a love affair, love. There are moments when you feel two people are one, but then you know. If you attempt mentally, this is called as ambition, conquest, desire, or simply shopping. If you approach it consciously, this is called yoga. This is yoga. This must happen to the world because as human beings, we are empowered like never before. No human generation ever in the history of humanity was as empowered as we are, both in terms of creating positive possibilities and destructive possibilities. We are far more empowered than any generation ever. When this kind of empowerment has come to us, it becomes extremely, extremely important that our thought, our emotion, our action is all a conscious process. If it happens instinctively, it happens compulsively, we are asking for a disaster. And we have been unfolding disasters after disaster. We can call it war, we can call it climate, we can call it this and that, but we are unfolding more and more disasters because we are… with this level of intelligence, with this level of competence, this level of empowerment, we're still functioning in an instinctive, compulsive manner. This is what the purpose of yoga is, so that human activity, both internal and external, becomes a conscious process. Let's make a conscious planet happen, let's make it happen.
Thank you so much.
Don't ask any difficult questions.
I promise. What a privilege for me to have this discussion with you and try to go really a little bit further regarding the mentions you just did with yoga. My first question will be dealing with the definition of yoga itself. You said that yoga is all about ourself in terms of self-knowledge, in terms of identity. But what would you say to a child who would like to know what is yoga in order to prepare this child to also have the willingness to physically and consciously being a little bit bothered? And I'm saying that for children, but we know that we all have this relationship to yoga, the way to accept that yoga is also a question of physical, of body. So how would you define yoga in a very simple manner to a child?
I think my own story of how I got into yoga would settle that. You okay for the story?
Of course.
So I'm just about 11 years of age and every summer we go for a vacation in my, traditional home of my grandfather, which is a large home, and we are about 36 cousin brothers and sisters. We all gather from various towns only during that time for about 30 to 40 days. So it's one rollicking situation, everybody's out of control. So for the young boys, one of the sport is, there's a well in the backyard, which is just about 8 feet in width and 150 feet in depth. Summers, mostly it is about 60, 70 feet down, the water. One of the sport is to jump into the well. You must jump straight down, otherwise your brains will become a smear on the wall. And for coming up, there is no any footholds or ladder or anything, just holding the rocks you have to come out. So literally your entire weight is on a few centimeters of your tips of your fingers, and you'll be bleeding when you come up. The nails will be bleeding because of the pressure. So, we like to do it, I'm pretty good at it. One day we are all preparing to do this. A man, an old man, I refuse to call him old anymore, considering my own age. At that time, a very old man, over 73 years of age, was standing and just watching us quietly. Then without a word, he just came, jumped into the well. I thought he's finished. But he came up faster than me. I didn't like it. I asked how. He said, come and do yoga. Like a puppy, I followed him. I did not know anything else about it. So he taught me some very simple physical aspects of yoga, nothing much, very simple, but a powerful transmission. This is what is missing in the world today. It's being taught like it is some exercise. Yoga cannot be taught, yoga needs to be transmitted. Somebody should live it. So it was transmitted to me in a certain way, just a simple practice evolved into something fantastic in the next 12 to 13, 15 years' time. But at that time, I had no clue what I'm getting into. And within a few years, significant results in terms of my physical prowess and my intellectual capabilities, that was good enough for me, I was not looking for anything else. But this was a surprise bonus that other things happened. So for a child, we just say, this is a powerful way of empowering yourself to whatever you wish to do in your life, whatever. Because yoga does not define what you should do. Do whatever the hell you want to do it well.
Beautiful, so this notion of empowerment is very important in yoga. My second question will be linked to what you said about unity, that is really a core of yoga. You mentioned that our way to be better connected is trying to unite spiritual and material, trying also to unite our own self to the other. Can you tell us concretely, and we can feel it here, you know, in this room, we can feel an amazing unity thanks to your magical presence. How can yoga could help us to be more connected?
See, when you say connected, that means essentially we are separate, we can hold hands. When you say unity, also means the same thing. We are different people, we can be united. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about union. Union is different from unity. What union means is, as I said, when you breathe, it's not about you caring for the tree, it's a part of you. Today, modern science has brought this in different languages, so let me speak that language. Today they're telling you over 60% of your body are microbial life. So you have more microbes than your parentage within you. So it's not that you have to connect with them, you're happening because of everything else. Because of every other life happening the way it is happening, you're also happening. So you are not an independent entity in any sense. This very body that you carry is part of the soil that you walk upon, but we are far away from it. So you don't have to unite with the soil, you don't have to connect with the soil, anyway you're connected. But you can realize it either now or when they bury us. This choice we have, when this realization comes to us. So we are not talking about unity, we are not talking about, okay, all of us should be together. No, whether we like it or not, we are happening here as one big phenomena of life. If we realize that, if we experience that, not intellectual realization, if you experience this, If you experience everybody in this hall as a part of yourself, like you're experiencing the 5 fingers of your hand as yourself, if you experience all these people as yourself, after that, you don't need any teaching of thou shalt not do this or that. Hello? You would not need any teaching. These teachings are efforts to connect people, to unite people, but there is still no inner experience. With all the teachings, see what we are doing. Hello? With all the teachings, see what we are doing in the world. Simply because there is no inner experience and there is no substitute for inner experience. Any amount of teaching, any amount of philosophy, any amount of ideologies, when your life is threatened, all those things will fall off. The only thing that stands with you is what is the nature of your experience at that moment. So, yoga is not about unity or connecting with people, it is realizing the nature of existence. The nature of existence is already in union. Nothing here happens independently, everything is connected. Today we think, if I say soil, people say, Sadhguru, where did you study ecology? Say, I've been crawling on this planet for last 65 years and I know what the hell happens here. I'm like a worm. I'm not an ecologist, I'm not a scientist, I'm a worm who crawled for 6.5 decades on this planet. What happens to the soil is happening to me, I can clearly see this. It's happening to everybody, but they don't see it. They're waiting for something bigger to happen to them.
So yoga is really making us realizing the interconnection, the interdependency of each, is that correct?
The oneness of everything. See, I'm refusing to use the word connect, because if we connect, you and me are separate, and we connect. Say, I will die many years ahead of you, you will die at the age of 100 or more, but let's say they chose to bury you next to me. Doesn't matter what's your gender, doesn't matter what's your nationality, race or religion. Will you merge with that soil as I merged, or will you not? Or will you stick out? I'm asking. You will merge, right? Now what is the problem, I'm asking? Now what is the problem? Even now we can Is death the only way we learn? That's all I'm asking. We should learn in life, not in death.
I would like to go a little bit further regarding this title, Conscious Planets. You're saying that yoga is also allowing us to be more conscious, especially when it comes to resolve some challenges. So, in which way yoga can help us being more conscious?
See, the word conscious or consciousness is a very hugely misused word. Everybody is using it in their own ways. For this, there is a very appropriate word in Sanskrit language. In English language, it's a kind of a general word. We call this chitta. What chitta means is, it is an intelligence within you which doesn't have an iota of memory. Right now your body, every cell in the body has intelligence, but this is all by memory. When I say by memory, do you remember how your great-great-great-grandmother 10 generations ago, what she looked like? You? No. But her nose is sitting on your face, because your body remembers. Million years ago, how your forefathers were, the skin tone, it still remembers. Yes or no? It does remember. So this body is a body of memory. There is an intelligence within you which doesn't have any memory, it's pure intelligence. This is the core of your existence. This is what is making everything happen. Right now, everybody breathing?
Better
No,
be.
that's a good admission. So, you're not doing your breath, it's happening. You're not beating your heart, it's happening. You're not working your liver, it's working. You're not doing your kidney or spleen or something, it's all happening. So I'm saying there is an intelligence beyond your silly intellect. I'm very consciously calling it silly, because we'll come to that if we have the time. Well beyond your silly intellect of thoughts and emotions, there is an intelligence which is managing you. Suppose for one day, for every one of you, let's say we decided, breath will be left in your hands, you can run it the way you want. If you got little angry, you'll forget to breathe, like this guy. If something else you desire, you'll forget to breathe, all right? Fortunately, it's not in your hands, it's all running by itself, because there is an intelligence beyond your own intellect, and what you understand as my intelligence, beyond that, this is working. We don't pay attention to it, we just make conclusions, oh, God is running it, finished, it's over. Do not jump into conclusions, just pay attention. How is your breath happening? How is your heart beating? What's happening here? How is this alive? Without me doing anything, it's still alive, isn't it? How is it? Such a complex machine, who the hell is running it? If you pay attention, you will get to this intelligence which is beyond memory. It doesn't exist or thrive on memory. What exists on memory is a possibility, at the same time it's a huge limitation. See, right now, what makes you one kind of person? Your memory, isn't it? What makes somebody else another kind of person? Their memory. What makes somebody this nationality or that nationality? Their memory. You erase their memory, do they know which nation they belong to? They'll belong to UNESCO. I'm sorry. So, what happens by memory is significant for our survival, because memory is an accumulation of experience. But there is an intelligence beyond memory which we refer to as chitta, which is consciousness. To awaken this intelligence, to find access to this intelligence is the fundamental purpose of yoga.
Thank you very much. I'd like to come back also to the importance of the international recognition of yoga. As you know, the practice of yoga has been inscribed in the list of intangible cultural heritage since 2016 under UNESCO 203 Convention for the safeguarding of the intangible cultural heritage.
I'd like to change that a little bit, I'm just saying on the in lighter vein, it's a very tangible heritage.
That's
very
a tangible heritage. That's true. So the name of the convention maybe should be renamed. So it's going to be a very important year because we are coming to the 20th year of this convention. And I would like to know, dear Sadhguru, if you had any message you would like to give to those who are fighting to advocate the importance of yoga as living heritage of humanity.
One important thing is, most important thing in the world is, yoga should not… people must understand it's not just some simplistic exercise that you can do. If all you're looking for a little bit of physical fitness, just go swim somewhere, you have a river, you swim upstream, you will become fit. Or you go play tennis, you do something, I'm saying. It's not just about fitness. Yes, fitness is one of the consequences. The importance of yoga is to explore the limits of your individual nature, where the boundaries are, how you can obliterate it. You don't have to hold that intent. The process will just do that. As I said, when I started, all I wanted was, I wanted to become as strong as that old man. That is the only goal. I had no other goal. I didn't want to meditate, I didn't want to go anywhere, I didn't want anything bigger than that. That was the goal. It doesn't matter. This is the beauty of living in this world. If you do the right things, even for the wrong reasons, it'll work.
A beautiful teaching. Beautiful teaching. So, any particular message you would like to give to those people? We understand that yoga, of course, is not only a question of physical exercise, or it go deeper, so…
It can start with a simple physical process, because that's the easiest access. Front end of our life is definitely our bodies. So you can start with the body, nothing wrong with that, but an understanding that you're not starting just a simplistic exercise process, because essentially what we are trying to create is coherence. When I say coherence, well, we were talking about it, you and the tree breathing, it's all one, you and the universe is all one, every subatomic particle today modern science is saying is all connected and transmitting. That means the whole creation is in coherence. But you're not experiencing that coherence. Recently, the Surgeon General of United States said, 1 in every 2 Americans, 1 in every 2 is feeling lonely. Between you and me, one of us is lonely. What's happening to the other person? So you're wearing your heart out. So just look at this, 1 in 2 is feeling lonely in the most affluent nation. When our population is bursting at 8.4 billion, we're feeling lonely. What is it? That is, we are building walls of individuality. Walls that you yourself cannot break. You build a wall that you yourself cannot break because these walls are built as self-protection. The walls of self-protection that you build today, tomorrow will turn into walls of self-imprisonment. That's all that's happening to the world. Everywhere it's happening. United States happens little more dramatically because they're little ahead of everybody else in a few things. So, just imagine in a country, every second American, if they're feeling lonely, loneliness is the first step towards mental illness. You've taken one step, next will come. So, yoga means you're not lonely anymore because only you exist in the universe. Everything is you. Wherever you see, it's just you. So when you see too much of yourself, you'll close your eyes and sit.
I will finish with one question regarding nature and the importance that it has. So how do we feel we can connect with nature through living heritage such as yoga or meditation? And since we saw that the 21st of June is also a very symbolic date linked to nature, could you tell us why we will be also connected with nature when we will do this meditation?
One part of the question is, why is it 21st June? As already Vishal was saying, this is the solstice. What solstice means is, in earth spin, it's a little bit of a tilt. In that process, how much exposure northern hemisphere is getting towards the sun, reaching its peak today, from now on it'll start receding. Because sun's relationship with the planet begins to shift on this day. When such a major happening happens, we, who are just a product of this earth, just the soil is sitting here as my body and your body. Things happen within our system too. Today, unfortunately, we have come to number systems, 31 days is a month and this and that. We have forgotten when is it full moon, when is it new moon, when is it solstice, what is happening, when is different shifts that are happening in the planet, completely unaware. For that there is a price. Every other life is aware of this. The smallest creatures are aware of this. You must see, just go sit in a forest and watch how the ants behave on a full moon night. They're very different on that day. On new moon day, they behave differently. If you pay attention, every life, plant life especially knows this very well in Ayurveda. There's a whole thing of if you pluck a leaf on which day of the month, how it behaves in your body. But human beings, the most intelligent, have no clue about this. This just gets demonstrated in stark ways. When the tsunami struck southern India, We were the first to be there because we had 23 medical vans. Immediately I said, everybody drive there. And I also went. When we went there, one aspect of it is, there are so many dead bodies. Our people, all volunteers trying to help with all this shifting and doing things and giving vaccinations to people and all this. What I noticed was, none of the livestock was dead, except those who were tied down in the homes. No dead fish or 100-foot wave. Millions of fish should be dead. No fish dead. No animals dead, not even a donkey dead. But human beings died. Everybody knew the wave is coming. The most intelligent species on the planet had no clue. Something is missing in our lives. What is missing is, we have no attention for anything. Because right from the day you went to school, where did you go to school? Here, in France?
Yes.
Okay. The day you went to kindergarten school, from that day, they only started rewarding your memory. If you read a textbook, that silly textbook, you read it and puke it on the examination paper, they'll say you're very smart. Nobody gave you any marks for your attention. I simply paid attention to the teacher, I knew their past, present and future, but they didn't give me any marks for that. The moment you value memory and not human attention, you close doors upon yourself. You're in an old soup, cooking yourself up with old soup, endlessly going on, the same old soup. So this is the issue, this is the fundamental issue, that on a summer solstice, there are significant changes happening to the world, to the planet, especially northern hemisphere. In the winter solstice, because we are majority in northern hemisphere, we are calling it that way. Southern hemisphere will call that as summer solstice, of course. Changes are happening there much more. So on this day, shift happens. Every yogi looks inward and makes the necessary little tuning, adjustment within himself or herself, because otherwise you will be misaligned with the world around you. There is a certain amount of data, not proper data, but there is a certain amount of data which shows during summer solstice, people become unnecessarily exuberant, during winter solstice, they become unnecessarily depressed. Because the shift is happening and you are not making the shift, you may suffer that for 2 to 3 weeks or more, depending on who you are. So yogis always make little adjustment, little tuning. If you're doing practices, it will adjust by itself. So, Adi Yogi, I must say something about him. He came from somewhere, he did not introduce himself, so nobody knew his name, who he is, where he comes from. But he just came and sat, unmoving, still. People were wondering whether he's alive or dead. But once in a way, tears of ecstasy were flowing down his cheeks. That was the only sign of aliveness. Even breath didn't seem to be happening. So initially crowd gathered that he's going to do some magic. He did nothing, people all left. Only 7 people hung on, who were hardcore people, who realized something is happening here. What is happening? He sat there for months without need for food, water or any toilet requirements or anything. Simply he sat. They realized he seems to have touched a dimension which is beyond his physicality. So they waited. Once in a way he got up and wildly danced, and again he sat down. So after long period of time, when this one solstice came, or that solstice happened to be a full moon night, so on the solstice day he turned south. He was sitting facing some other direction, he turned south and sat down. Because of that, for that position or that posture, Adi Yogi is referred to as Dakshinamurti, that means one who turned south. Because the sun turned south, he turned south. At that time he opened his eyes and looked around, then these 7 people begged. And on that day, the first guru was born, he decided to transmit yoga to these first 7 people. So that is how yoga started. It's fantastic that the UN International Day of Yoga recognized this and made 21st of June, the solstice day, as the International Yoga Day. That's remarkable.
Beautiful, thank you. Thank you for this wisdom, Sadhguru.
We are, as per the prescription, we are supposed to meditate. Hello? So, if it takes 12–15 minutes, is it possible that nobody moves? Those… if you want to leave for some reason, you must leave now. Please don't leave in the next few minutes, okay? Can you do that? Ma'am, yourself in the… yes. You okay, is it appropriate to meditate here or we'll just answer questions? You have questions? We'll do one thing. As your commitment to International Day of Yoga, there is a simple process called Isha Kriya. It's downloadable. In a guided way, you can do it for a few days, after that you can do it by yourself. It's an extremely simple but a powerful process. Millions of people across the world are practicing it right now, just with this app. It's a simple way to start. Instead of using that time here, it's called Isha Kriya, I-S-H-A, Isha Kriya. Okay, you know how Kriya is spelled. You just type it out, it'll come. You just… today, before 21st June is over, please spend 12 minutes. Initially, to understand what it is, you may take about 30 minutes of video. After that, it just takes 12 minutes. Every day you'd only practice about 12 minutes. This is more than enough to transform your life. To live peacefully, joyfully, this is good enough. You want to be something more, then more things have to be done, of course. So we will leave it at that, and if you have any questions, please.